Good afternoon, everybody. What I will talk about today is public speaking basics. And public speaking basics, there's many elements to it, but all conversations, certainly public speaking conversations, have to start with a good story. So hence the topic, storytelling, making it count. So my number one rule is never let the truth get in the way of a good story. Think about that. Never let the truth get in the way of a good story. Because fundamentally, a story's got to be interesting, it has to be evolving, it's got to have different layers. And sometimes, and I'm saying this in a joking fashion, right? You don't want to lie, but don't be bound by 100% accuracy. You can fudge a little bit. So never let the truth get in the way of a good story. And to me, it's really evident when you see somebody, for example, students who I would have present to me on a regular basis, they will get lost if they forget one sentence or one word or one fact, in their presentation. They'll freeze, they'll stop, and they'll go back and look at their notes. Nobody knows but you what you are going to say next. You can ad lib, like a good musician playing the guitar or an instrument. You can follow different sort of rhythms and patterns without it, kind of ad lib as you need to. So don't ever let don't be glued to the truth. For example, the worst thing I could say to you is, when a student will present to me, you might present to your faculty, to your professor, and they've memorized everything and they try to repeat word for word, line for line, what was in their presentation that they all typed out. That totally takes away from your presentation because you haven't connected. You're so worried about what you're going to say, not how you're going to say it and how you're going to tell a good story. Okay, that was rule number one. Rule number two. And these are, by the way, in orders of importance. So never let truth get in the way of a good story. And number two is what's in it for the audience? What's in it for, like when I'm speaking to you right now, I need to pitch my presentation towards your motivation, your interest. Why are you listening to me today? What's in it for you? So I'm guessing that, presumably the reason you're listening to me today is because you would like to get something out of my presentation that will help you get a good grade at university, that will help you on your way to a good career, that will help you find the bravery to ask somebody for a date to go to the movies or to a dinner or something like that. So you're looking for the skill to communicate. So what's in it for you? So that's what I'm hoping to share with you today is, something that you can take away from this. Because fundamentally people can be selfish. So when I listen to somebody, I'm always, continually asking myself, so why am I wasting my time here? What's in it for me? What am I going to take away from this? How will I grow? How will I develop? It could be on any number of topics, right? So the number two rule is clearly deciding, first of all, understanding who your target audience is. So in this case, presumably you're all students, or the vast majority will be. So I need to tailor my presentation to you as a young person to help you at university. That would be entirely different. I could give the same presentation to late career professionals, and I would pitch it slightly differently, how to go about having a conversation with your boss to get a raise, to get promoted to the next level, that sort of thing. So you can take the same topic, and I do it regularly, and I can change it around ever so slightly to adjust for the particular audience that I'm speaking to. Okay, so that's number one. I'm just repeating because you probably already forgot. Number one, never let truth get in the way of a good story. Number two is, to find something that will be of interest and relevance to your audience. Number three, pretend that you are an Italian. What does that mean exactly? Pretend you're in Italian. Think about it. Have you watched any movies with Italian speakers? They are very passionate. Italians have nothing else. They're very and they talk with their hands. So you think of an Italian as along the lines of, "Mamma mia, that's some spicy meatballs." Think about it. They talk with their hands, right? You're not going to see an Italian go, "Mamma mia, that's some spicy meatballs." They're going to be talking and they're expressive and they what's called gesticulate and they use body language. I'm exaggerating, obviously, to make the point, but you need to be animated. And I always draw back to the example of, you when you speak to your friends or your parents or somebody, that you are a colleague at school, at university, you're having a conversation with, you don't sit like this, right? You don't sit and look at the floor. You speak with your eyes, you speak with your hands, you speak with your body, you move, it's called gesticulate. So you move around. So you pretend that you are passionate. Because you know what? If in fact you show passion, like a good Italian talking about spaghetti and meatballs, if you do that, if you are animated and engaging, gee, guess what? Your audience also will be interested in listening to you, particularly if you're telling them about something that they would be interested in learning more about. And especially if you're telling a good story about Italians and about going to the Mediterranean and eating meatballs and learning to speak with your hands. So these are all some very simple rules. Number 4 rule, speak with your eyes. And again, think about it. I mean, this is all common sense, right? Because people connect to other people with their eyes. I'm looking at you now. I'm looking directly at the camera now and not at the screen. I'm connecting to you with eyes. The eyes of an individual are the passageway to the soul. And that's your entryway into a person's being, is by looking them in the eyes. The eyes are the most important part of connecting to people. And when you speak to an audience, you need to not just speak with your eyes and make eye contact. Don't look at the floor, for example, but you need to move around. So when I speak to a group of students, I go from, one student to the next, to the people in the front. I kind of work around, and I'm not just looking straight up into the lecture theater. I'm looking to the left, I'm looking to the right, I'm looking to the front, I look to the bottom, and I take just a couple seconds to connect. So, I can tell, truly, I'm not making this up, I can tell when I've connected somebody. If I'm looking at Fam, I'm looking at her on the video, I look her in the eyes and I can tell that I've made connection, right? So your eyes are the key to connecting with individuals. Okay, and here's something else I would say. A lot of you have been schooled to do a presentation and read from your notes. So you've got your little book, your little notes down here, and you're looking like this. Very, very, very common. You're reading from your notes. What happens when you look down and read your notes? You have just lost that time of connecting to your audience because your eyes are looking down at your papers and your notes. Big mistake, huge mistake. It'd be better off that you threw away all your notes altogether, or maybe just put some bullet points and just, looked around the room and connected to people with your eyes. That will make so much difference in how you're able to come across, how you present. It makes all the difference in the world. And going back to like the number 1 rule, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. If in fact you free yourself from reading the notes, and if you just have a couple of bullet points kind of memorized, like maybe 4 bullet points, like 4 rules in your head, then you're not bound, or you're not constrained by reading from some notes that nobody cares about. Let's be perfectly honest. Absolutely nobody cares about it. Okay, so speak with your eyes. Number 5 rule, visualize that you are speaking to children or visualize that you are speaking to a room full of people in their pajamas, because you need to keep your presentations, first of all, visualizing that you're speaking to people, a room full of people in their pajamas. Don't be intimidated. They're just people. To me, when I speak, I can speak to a group of 1,000 or so people. To me, it's no different than speaking to one individual. Actually, I like it more 1,000, because I don't have to have 1,000 individual conversations. But if you think of people, it's like there's a famous fable, when the king didn't wear any clothes. You're not intimidated. These are just regular people. Pretend that everyone in the audience are your best friends. Maybe that's a better example, okay? But visualize that you're speaking to children. What that means is that you need to speak very slowly, very purposely, very articulately, because think of yourself when you listen to somebody speaking, you don't really pay that much attention, right? Generally, but most people don't. I know I don't. I get kind of bored and I start thinking about many things. But if you are very simple and meticulous in how you speak, and then you will come across more coherently and clearly. So, for example, my approach is, I tell you what I'm going to tell you to begin with. I'm going to give you, this is what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to teach you how, or give you some guidance on how to become a great public speaker. And then I tell you 3 or 4 different ways, 5 different rules for helping you on your journey to become a good public speaker. And then lastly, I'm going to remind you about the summary of those 5 rules that I talked about at the beginning, because by the end of my presentation, to be honest, you've already forgot about what I'm talking about. And it's not just me, it's not anyone individual or anyone specifically. It's just that's the rule. So talk very simply, and yeah, so that's just the way it works. So I have another video that we had done previously, which looks at some different presentation skills, either in person or online. So hopefully you'll have access to that. But hopefully today you have learned about telling a good story. Hopefully you've learned about connecting into your audience with a topic that's actually of interest to them, that's not going to bore them to tears. Hopefully you've learned about the importance of speaking like an Italiano, of connecting with your eyes. And if you remember all of these are all good points that will help you go on to have, great careers, to do well at university. Because I would say with one thing, just to finish up, communication, whether it's written or what we're talking about today, which is orally, that is the key to success. Bar none, absolutely the key. Thank you.